Baraza nazumu aje mathematics bila board kama amekaa tu. Sijui kwa nini meeting anga. I allow users who join. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us your name.
My name is Janelle Osimbo.
You're Janet?
Janelle Osimbo.
Janelle.
Yes.
Yeah, taking which course?
Catering and accommodation. Certificate in catering and accommodation operation.
Which intake? We are in semester 1 or semester 2?
Semester 3.
Semester 2?
3.
3?
Yes.
When you are in semester 1 and 2,
Mm.
who was teaching you ICT?
No, I've never attended ICT class.
Why?
It has never been.
It has never been?
I've not been given that unit. This semester is when I was given.
Okay. And you are a candidate?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have Any other friend, any other colleague you know?
Pardon?
Any other colleague of yours you know who is in semester 3? Doing similar course, the same course?
Yes, but they told me that they are going to do the exams in November.
Or so they still have time.
Yes, I think.
So basically, ICT has two areas. We have theory and practical. The main aim of the unit is to give you knowledge and skills so that you can be able to appreciate and be able to use computers in day-to-day activities. So that you can even come up with an email, you can make an application you send, you can compose an email you send to your friend or your family. You can use a computer to come up with, let's say, a CV, design a letter, day-to-day life, and be able to appreciate the importance, the impact of ICT facilities to users, to the society, or even to organizations. That's the main aim. So basically, what I'm going to teach, I'm going to teach the theory part of ICT because not all of us we have laptops. We have some don't have laptops, so I cannot teach the practical aspect of ICT. So I'm going to focus on the theory part of ICT. Kulingana na your exam is theoretical. So it comes in a theory paper. But there are some aspects they test in terms of practical. You did practically, but they can ask in form of theory questions. You explain procedures. You can describe a process of performing a given task using a computer. So basically, I'm going to cover in terms of videos. I'm going to cover notes in terms of theory, notes in terms of text. I'm going to post also what you call audio, which you can listen to. I'm also going to have Zoom sessions. Now, once you log into your system, your dashboard, you see ICT. Once you open ICT, we have what you call a timetable. So ICT in a week appears 3 times. We have a double class on Friday. Then another one is on, I'm going to change from, it was supposed to be from 10, not 10, around 11. But I'm changing to start at 2 to 3. So normally the one that will be on Saturday will be having a Zoom class. Then the ones on Friday from 6 to 8, you just post a video, I post an audio, then notes, you go through, then you have a discussion. So at each and every lesson, once I post a lesson, I have what you call a chat forum. Once you click on that chat forum or chat time, you enter a discussion. When you have a query, you have a question, you can ask, then I will be responding to those questions. So that's how I'm going to teach via videos, audio, then you have what you call text notes, then we have Zoom classes. In terms of testing, we have assignments, I'll be giving assignments, then I also give what you call a continuous assessment test, which will be out of 30% or 30 marks. Then you have an end of semester exam, which will be out of 70 marks. That's a mode of evaluation. So I'm Teacher Kizito. I'm the one who will be taking you through ICT. If you have any problem, feel free to ask anytime. You can have my number on the dashboard. On the portal, you can also reach me on that number. So basically, I want to focus on the course outline. The course outline. You have a question? You are saying something. Yes.
Listening.
Pardon?
You started the course outline.
Yeah, I'm starting. I just want to go through the course outline first, then I go to lesson 1.
Okay.
So the course outline will give us the syllabus. The syllabus has the major topics we are supposed to cover. And at each and every topic, we have subtopics. So basically, we're saying ICT has two areas, theory part and the practical part. And I'm going to focus on the theory part. In terms of the practical part, we say that we perform activities, exercises, tasks using computers. So we have to know the steps we can follow in performing those activities. So when you are tested in an exam, they can ask, even if we did something practical, you did practical, for example, coming up with a document, or let's say opening a computer or shutting down a computer, they can ask you to describe those activities, those procedures in a theory exam. And even anything you see on the computer, once you open a computer, anything you see, you can come across a button, you can come across an object. So they can ask you to name, give the name of that button or the function of that button. So there are also practical areas whereby we do it practically, but still I have to teach you a theory aspects, some definitions, some procedures in those practical areas. So topic one basically is introduction to ICT. Under this topic, we normally look at what is ICT, definition of terms. Then we look at the impact of ICT to the society, and we have positive impact and negative impact. We also look at the impact of ICT to organizations, to different firms or companies, which also we have positive ones and negative ones. So basically that is topic number one. Then topic number two is on what we call introduction to computers. Introduction to computers. That is topic number two. And basically this topic is looking at computers, and a computer is a tool, is a machine, is a device. And this is one of the facility, one of the tools, one of the equipments of ICT. So that's why we focus on computers. The major equipment of ICT is computers. So we look at what is a computer. Computers are classified also. We have different classes of computers. We're looking at different classes of computers. We'll be looking at functions of computers. We'll be looking at advantages of computers. Under that topic, we just focus on computer as a tool, or what you call a device or an equipment of ICT. Because the main aim of this unit of ICT is to give you ideas so that you know how you can come up with data. And data is anything. Let's say the admission number of a student can be in form of data, the name of a student is data, the value of, let's say, a customer is data. In terms of customer name, let's say the telephone number of that customer. So we need data, then you have to come up with a way of changing, converting that data to become meaningful. So that whenever we have a problem, once you come up with a solution to that problem, what you call information. So information is a solution to a given problem. And once you are given information, we can make certain decisions. It's like we are empowered. So the main aim of ICT is basically to come up with information to give users, and the user can be a firm, it can be a company, or just an individual. Information. Once you are given information, it means you are empowered. You can make certain decisions. So we use computers to achieve or come up with information. So that's why we are looking at computer. Then topic number three will now be focusing on hardware, computer hardware. Topic number three, computer hardware. And this basically, computer hardware basically, we look at what I can do. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen so that you can see. Let me share my screen. You can see now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we have computer hardware. So basically this one, we look at the physical components that make up a computer. The ones you can see, the ones you can touch. Physical components. And those components are classified depending on their functions. Because a computer is a system, it has separate parts, and each part has a role to play, has a function to play, but all of them must work together. So that's what you call computer hardware. Now, a computer is like a human being. So a human being, you have physical features, and you also need knowledge so that you can use your ears, your eyes, the physical features to solve a problem or perform a task. So also the computer has the physical features, the ones you can see and touch. Those physical components of a computer cannot work without knowledge. So this topic number 4, which is as computer software, is same as looking at knowledge that the hardware devices of a computer requires so that it can function or perform a given task. So software also is just a product. The same way you can have hardware, the same way you can have a mobile phone or a TV. There are different types of mobile phones. You can have different types of TVs. So the same software, we have classes of software. So this topic will teach us on the what is software, the importance or functions of software, and the different classes of software. So topic number 5, which is basically operating system. So this operating system is a class of software, is a component of software whose main function is to managing the hardware devices of a computer, ensuring that the hardware devices of a computer are performing their tasks. Then topic number 5 is what you call data security and control. Data security and control. Computer has resources, and there are 3 major resources which are important. One is data. Number 2 is the hardware. Then number 3, the software. So someone can just steal data of a computer. Someone can interfere with data, can tamper with that data by either just deleting it intentionally. Someone can steal a component, the physical component of a computer. It means we incur loss because you have to buy or replace that hardware. Someone can come and interfere with the software part of the computers. For example, if I have a mobile phone, then I install WhatsApp. That WhatsApp is an example of software. It's enabling me to use my mobile phone to communicate. So if someone tries to access my mobile phone and delete your WhatsApp and throw your WhatsApp, it means that is a threat. He or she is interfering with that security, that resource of that mobile phone. So softwares, data, and hardware are important resources of computers. So this topic will teach us on those security threats, something that can interfere with data, something that can interfere with what we call programs and the hardware. Generally, interfering with the well functioning of our computer. If data is not there, and we interfere with data of our computer, then it means the computer will give us wrong information. And once we base on that information, we are going to make wrong decisions. If someone tries to steal or tamper with the hardware devices of our computer, it means the computer will not function. The same to software. So this topic will teach us activities which are performed by individuals, and these activities are criminal in nature. Criminal in nature. For example, I have Facebook, I have an account in Facebook, then I choose to store my certain information about me, which is sensitive, so private. Then I come up with a password. So I just assume that no one can access it, no one cannot log into my account without this particular password. So we have people who can even just guess, trying to use guesswork. Then they will log into my account using that password. We have others who will use other programs so that it can show to them the password, then they use it to gain access to my account. So we have what we call lack of privacy with computers. We have what we call lack of privacy. And the activities which are performed by individuals which are criminal in nature. Someone can just interfere with data, Someone can just delete. If let's say you are employed in a given firm and your main activity or task is to enter data, then there are certain data items which are sensitive, that are important, but for you, you omit them intentionally. So that's what you call as a sabotage. So there are activities which are criminal in nature, and you also have to come up with a way of protecting inventions, what you call copyright people. If I come up with my photo, I don't want to see a situation where someone is using my photo to market for products, market for his or her services without my knowledge. Someone's not accessing my information. If I come up with a book, then I publish using the internet, people can access. Someone cannot just make a copy of that book without my knowledge. So we have what you call the laws that govern how we can protect ICT resources. So this is basically topic number 5, data security and control. Then topic number 7, is word processing. This is practical now. So this topic will teach us the ideas, word processing. It will teach us ideas on how you can use a computer to come up with a document that has text. Creating a document that has text, like a timetable, coming up with a letter, coming up with a notice, any document that has text. Then we make it more presentable, more attractive by changing even the handwriting of text, changing the color, changing the size of text, etc. So we call it word processing. So once I create that text, it means I can make it more attractive, more presentable. Then I print, display on the paper. On the paper, it means I can keep it for future reference for a long period of time. So this topic has theory. We learn the theory part of it. We also come and learn the practical part of this topic. The practical part is now practical on the computer. How can you come up with a document? How can you write text? How can you change the appearance of those text using a computer? Then topic number 7. Topic number 7 is known as spreadsheets. So purely practical also, but this one will give us ideas on how to use a computer to acquire data, how we can use a computer to acquire data in form of numbers. And this data represents transactions. If you have a company, have a farm, have a kiosk, once I sell an item to a customer, I record, that's a transaction. Once I order products from a supplier, I record. So I record details of that particular transaction, and the data I'm recording is in terms of numbers. Then I can come and manipulate them mathematically. I can add, for example, you have buying price and you have selling price. I can either add or subtract the two values. Then I come up with profit or loss. So basically, if allowing you to enter data in form of numbers, then you manipulate mathematically. Instead of using a calculator, for example, you have a kiosk, once you are selling items, to come up with balance so that you know the total sales per day, per week, you can use a calculator to add numbers, to divide, multiply. That's mathematical manipulations. So if you have large volumes of data, customers are so many, the items you are selling are so many, you can make mistakes. Sometimes it will take long to perform those calculations. But using a computer is much efficient because you won't repeat those activities. You just invoke a formula. You come up with a formula, and the formula can allow you to manipulate. For example, add. You want to add two numbers. I come up with a formula that will add for me two numbers. So it's much efficient because it will save on time. We go to topic number 8. And topic number 8 is known as database. Database. So also topic number 8 is theory. We have theory part of it. We also have the practical part of it. And most of the questions, they base on this topic. They prefer setting questions on this topic, database. So database, basically, if you have data, for example, you have customers, you have suppliers, you have, let's say, employees, You need to keep records about your customers. You need to keep records about the products you are selling. You also need to keep records about your employees. So whenever we have records, we can store data in two forms, the manual way or using computers. The manual way, it means we store data on papers. If I have 10 customers, each customer, I come up with a file for each customer. If I have 1 million customers, I create 1 million files. Those files are going to occupy space. The time taken to access a file is longer, but using a computer is much efficient because it will save on time. It can allow you to store large volumes of data electronically. So this topic will teach us on how you can use a computer to organize data of, let's say, customers, of suppliers, of an event, of a student, of a course, anything you want to study data about in an organized manner so that we can easily add new data, so that we can easily access existing data, so that we can easily modify existing data, so that you can easily delete data. So this topic is basically theory and practical for allowing us to use a computer to organize data in the memory of a computer in an orderly manner so that you can easily access it, so that you can easily add new data, so that you can easily remove existing data. For example, once you join KIPS, you have to create for you a database. You have to enter details in that database. If you are storing manually, it means you have to create for your file. If another student joins KIPS, you have to create another file for that student. So if you are storing the details electronically on a computer, it's much efficient because we will organize it in an orderly manner so that you can easily access it, so that you can easily add new data. Then we have another topic number 9, known as network and internet. Network and internet. So network and internet basically refers to how we can interconnect devices so that they can communicate. So for interconnecting devices so that they can communicate. If devices are connected all over the world in form of computers, we form what we call internet. So we can have a mobile phone or a computer in Nairobi. Then there's another computer in Nyeri. If they are connected, it means they can exchange data, they can communicate. If you have an image, a picture on that computer that is in Nairobi, I can access it using the computer that is in Nyeri. So for sharing resources, for communication. So this topic will teach us on how we can set up a network. You teach us on the functions of a network, the importance of a network, what are the what you call internet, applications of internet. And you say internet means physical connection of computers or communication devices all over the world. Then topic number 10. Topic number 10 is known as desktop publishing. This is purely practical. So in theory, during online platform, I will not teach it because it is purely practical. So this one will teach us on how we can use our computer to come up with a design, come up with a publication. And a publication is in design work, things like newspapers, brochures, wedding card, let's say the business card, flyers, calendar. Those are examples of what we call publications. So you want to come up with a newspaper, you want to come up with a calendar, you want to come up with a business card using a computer, we use what we call desktop publishing. Then topic number 11. Is NAS, presentation programs. If I give you an assignment, then I say this assignment is a presentation. You go and do a research, then you come and present your findings. It means you have to organize. You come up with a written copy, then you use that written copy to present your findings. you have to come and speak to the audience. Another way of coming up with that, I can say you don't need to come and present physical by talking, going through your findings, but you want to use a computer. So using a computer, you can just come up in form of, let's say, a movie. You organize your information, the resources, your findings, form of a movie, then you just play. Then the audience can watch, the audience can listen to, they can see. So they can hear from your presentation, they can hear, they can see in form of a video, form of text or images. So this one will teach us why you can use a computer to create what you call a presentation. You have information you want to disseminate, you want to relate to people, but you don't want to talk. You want to use a device to do that dissemination. So you can come up with what you call a presentation. So this topic has a theory part and the practical part. Topic number 12 is data processing. So we said raw materials. Raw materials, anything we enter into a computer is known as data. So the computer has to be given data. And we give an example, your name, age, admission number, the course you are taking, height, any piece of data that can allow me to acquire a certain aspect, to learn a small aspect about you, but data is meaningless. I cannot base on it to make a judgment. I cannot base on your name alone to describe you, to make a decision about you. I cannot base on the name alone. So this topic will teach us on how the computer can transform, how the computer can convert data so that it comes up with meaningful information, which is basically important, which empowers people to make decisions, which enables users to solve problems, because you see that information is now the solution to a given problem. Then the last topic is basically emerging trends in ICT. So this topic is basically looking at issues that arises in ICT. Now, ICT falls under technology. So we have what we call technological advancements. The kind of a mobile phone we're using now, if you compare that mobile phone with the one we're using in 2010 or in the year 2000, they are totally different. So technology keeps on changing. Those changes, the new inventions that are being brought about, they have what we call an impact. So the changes poses some challenges to us. We have a new mobile phone being developed and I don't know how to operate it. It's a challenge. So the challenges that users face by these particular changes in terms of technology is what we call emerging issues. Now, how can these users cope with those challenges? How can they cope with? I was using a mobile phone that didn't have a touch screen, didn't have an internal memory, didn't have a camera. Now I have a mobile phone. Because of those changes, I have a mobile phone that has a camera, has a memory, it has certain features that were not on the other mobile phone. So it will be a challenge on me because one, it will be somehow expensive. Two, I have to know how to operate it because I have to learn how to use it. So those challenges, users have to learn and be able to cope with those challenges. So this topic will teach us on the emerging issues, changes in the technology, and the challenges that these changes, these issues brings about, and how users or people can cope with these challenges. So generally, that is our course outline. Then from there, we want to move and look at briefly the first topic. And the first topic is Introduction to ICT. Introduction to ICT. Now, here, we want to start by defining some terminologies. So there are certain terms. The first one is inputting. The first term is inputting. So basically, inputting is the activity of entering data, the activity of giving data to a computer. transferring data. How? We transfer data from the external environment into a computer. So that activity is known as inputting. Another term is processing. Processing, on the other hand, is the activity of changing, converting, transforming data into what we call information. If they say we have two numbers, number 4, another number is number 2. Number 4 is data, number 2 is data. If you want to add, the activity of adding number 4 and 6 and 2, so that I can come up with number 6, is known as processing. Another term is storing. So storing means keeping. And there are 3 components which we can keep. We can keep data, one component. We can keep instruction. The component is information. Instruction is same as knowledge. The knowledge. You as a student, once you are taught something, once you acquire knowledge, you have to keep it so that you can, because this knowledge you're going to apply it in future. So if you don't have memory, if you're not able to keep this knowledge, it means you cannot be able to apply it. You'll forget that knowledge. So the computer also has to keep data, it has to keep knowledge and information. It can keep those 3 components in 2 ways. One, permanently, meaning for a long period of time. The number 2 is temporarily. Temporarily means for a short period of time. When I'm using a mobile phone, and my mobile phone is on, once I power it on, anything that I'm entering, anything that is storing will be in what we call temporal memory. But once power goes off, once I switch off my mobile phone, whatever that was stored temporarily will be lost. But whatever was stored permanently will remain. So if I store things in a computer temporarily, it means once I switch off power, once I switch off my computer, that component which was data, it will disappear. I cannot access it. But if it was stored permanently, it means even if I switch off my computer, even if power goes off, I will still come and access this information or this data. Another terminology is outputting. Outputting is an activity of displaying, the activity of showing, the activity of what we call disseminating information to the external environment, to the outside world. That's what we call outputting. Another terminology is data. Data basically is anything which is meaningless, and we refer to data as raw facts. The raw material of information is data. Anything you enter into a computer is known as data. And this data can be in terms of qualitative values or quantitative variables. And basically they describe various entities. We can have data about an entity like a student. Entity is anything of interest. I can have data about an event. I can have data about a building, about a place, about a customer, about a supplier. So whatever I can capture about a customer is what you call data. Then another term is information. Information is data that has been put into a meaningful form. For example, if I have a student, this student sits an exam in 3 units. So it means you will score 3 values, each for each unit. Student sits for an exam in 3 subjects. So we have 3 average, 3 values for each and every unit. Those are 3 items. Each value, each score is data. If let's say 1 unit is ICT and that student scores 80, so 80 is an example of data. If another unit is communication skills, then the student scores, let's say 20. That 20 is also data. If another unit is, let's say what we call entrepreneurship, then it scores 30. That 30 is data. If you want to come up with total score, I have to manipulate the 3 units by taking 80 first score plus 20, which is the second score, plus 30, which is the third score. So this 110, not 130, 80 plus 20 plus 30, that 130 is the value for total. That is an example of information. If I take this 130, then I want to come up with the average score. There were 3 subjects, I want to come up with average. So I take 130 divided by 3. 130 divided by 3. So I get something like 44 or 45. That 44 or 45 point something is an example of information. I can base on it to describe, to judge the student in terms of performance. I can rate the student, either the student has performed well or not so well. So we normally rely on information in making decisions, and information has some properties. It must be accurate. If it is wrong, it means not information, because it will enable you make a wrong decision. It has to be precise. The information must have the right details, only the relevant details alone. It has to be timely. You have to get the information on time when you need it. So there are certain attributes of information. So this information must be always correct, timely, relevant, must be precise, etc. So we are giving an example. We are saying a student test data is an example of data. Oh, sorry, test score. You sit for a test, then you score 20. That 20 is an example of data. An example of information is basically a class average score. If a class has 10 students, I give them an exam. Each student will score a given value in terms of that score. So I take the score of each and every student, then I add to come up with total. Since there are 10 students, I divide the total score by 10. So I come up with the average, the class average. I can, based on that, make decisions. Then we can move to another term, which is communication. Communication. So that activity of sharing, exchanging, transferring information, transferring data from one device to another device, from one person to another person, from one entity to another entity, is known as communication. Well, is known as information. So communication. So we are saying that communication is a process, is an activity of transmitting, of sharing, of sending, transferring data or information from one entity to another entity, from one device to another device. If you have two mobile phones, they want to transfer an image, a photograph of mine from one mobile phone to another mobile phone. It means that process is known as what we call communication. So for communication to occur, we have three entities, three components. One is what we call the sender. Number two is the recipient. The sender, number one. Number two, recipient. Then you have what you call a channel. The work of a channel is to link, for linking the sender and the recipient, so they can be able to communicate. So when you say that two devices are sharing information, it means the two devices must be communicated using a channel. So the channel will facilitate that transmission of data, information from one device to another device. Then another term is computer. Another term is computer, and computer is a device, it is a tool. This computer requires power to operate. Inside the computer, we have components that also requires power to operate. And a computer performs various functions. So we define a computer based on one, is a device that requires power, that is one. And such a device that requires power to operate is known as electronic device. Any device, any tool that uses power to operate, like a mobile phone is an example, is known as electronic device. And we are saying now we proceed and look at the functions of our computer. A computer performs one function, which is inputting. Another function is storing. Another function is processing. Then the last function is outputting. So there are four major functions. So when we're defining our computer, we base on those four major activities performed by the computer. So the formal definition would say a computer is an electronic device that converts data into information. That's being general. It is an electronic device that converts data into information. That's being brief. But if you want to define it in detail, you say it is an electronic device that acquires data, stores data, converts it into information, and displays the output. You have to mention the activities, and those activities are performed in an orderly manner: inputting, storing, processing, then outputting. We move to another term, which is technology. Technology. And basically, technology is both material and the immaterial aspects. When you talk of material, we refer to tools, we refer to machines, we refer to devices. When we talk of immaterial, we refer to ideas, we refer to different concepts, we refer to different formulas. If I have a problem of coming up with area of a rectangle, I need a formula to use to solve your problem. The area of a rectangle is equal to the length multiplied by the width. So that is an example of a technology, but it's in terms of immaterial. If I want to communicate, pass a message to someone, and I'm not located at the same geographical location with that person, I need a mobile phone, a communication device. That mobile phone is an example of technology, but it is in form of material. So technology refers to both material and immaterial things that enable someone to solve a problem, that enable someone to perform a given task. So we refer to them as material, meaning tools, meaning machines. Immaterial means they're just ideas, something we imagine. Just imagine over something, a way, a method which can guide you in solving a given problem. We have examples of technology. One is known as computer technology. Computer technology. So computer technology is basically the application of technology in designing, constructing, and programming computers. So the process of coming up with a computer is more or less the same like that process of coming up with a building. You have to come up with a plan of a building first. Then from that plan, you have to create the real building. Then you have to finish up so that this building can have facilities. People can now start living in that particular building. It can start operating. So the same also, we have to come up with a plan that will guide people in constructing. Constructing means coming up with the physical devices that make up a computer. So for them, they cannot create those physical devices without being guided. So they need something that will guide them on how to come up with those physical components. Whatever they're basing on to create the physical components, what you call a plan or a design. Now, once they come up with those physical components, they will not function. They cannot operate. They cannot enable me as a user to solve a problem. They cannot enable me to come up with a letter. So it means they require knowledge. And basically, that process of giving the hardware devices knowledge is known as programming, commanding them to solve different problems, commanding them to perform different tasks. And we say that knowledge is same as software, same as programs. And the same idea whereby if I have an event like funeral, like let's say graduation, I have let's say birthday, I have let's say what, those events, there are activities that will take place in that event. And it is not one activity. activity. There are several activities. I have to come up with a plan, a program that will give me the list of those activities and the order of each and every activity, the duration of each and every activity, so that if I'm inviting people to come and attend my meeting, once I invite them, I also send them that program. So they will know that this event is starting at this particular time, starting this activity, for example, speeches, which will last for like 1 hour, then entertainment for 2 hours, then you can have lunch 3 hours before you. So the same, a computer hardware device cannot perform a task without being guided, without being given steps. So the work of our program, the work of knowledge of software is to guide, give the hardware device of a computer the steps. Once it will follow those steps, it will come up with a solution to a given problem. We go to another example of technology known as information technology. And information technology is basically the application of computers in acquiring data, processing it, storing, and displaying the information. So it's basically the application of computers in coming up with information. That's what we call information technology. Another term is communication technology. So one was computer technology, number two is information technology, and number three is communication. We say that computer technology is the application of technology, ideas, machines, concepts in designing, constructing, and programming or commanding computers. Then information technology is basically the application of computers in coming up with information. We use computers to come up with information. So a computer is an example of information technology. Then number three is communication technology. Basically the application of technology, devices, machines in facilitating the activity of sharing information, in transmitting information from one part of a device to another one, from one entity to another entity, from one machine to another machine. Then another term is ICT. So you can't define ICT without first defining communication, defining information, defining communication. So it's an umbrella term. So you have to know what is the meaning of information first, what is the meaning of technology, what is the meaning of communication. So ICT refers to all the aspects of acquiring data, storing that data, processing it, outputting and sharing. So it has the element of sharing. If we have a farm and the farm has branches, one is in Nairobi, another branch is in Kisumu. If we come up with information at Nairobi branch, we need to share that information with Kisumu branch. So coming up with information under Nairobi branch, we are using what we call computers, using information technology. So that now the Kisumu branch can also access that information. We share with them. It means we use what we call communication technology. So basically it's all the ideas, all the aspects that covers that activity of coming up with data, storing that data, making it meaningful, that is processing, and sharing the information. So we have examples of what we call ICT facilities or equipments. We have telephones, we have mobile phones, we have what we call printers, computers. So we basically are looking at computers. That's the main one. The major one is computers. Then from there, we have positive impact of ICT on organizations. So one is communication. Different firms, they have different departments. They have employees. They have branches. Maybe those branches are not at the same location. Maybe those departments are not at the same location. Once you have information, you have to share among all the employees, among all the departments. So they can share information via ICT. Basically, how? Zoom. So basically, they use ICT facilities to share information. How? One can be informed using the internet. I can have 1,000 customers, then I'm giving them a discount for my product at a particular period. So I want to inform all the 1,000 customers that at this particular period or during this particular period, I'll be offering discount for this item, and the discount is this percentage. So how can I communicate that to my customers? I come up with an email, then I send to all the customers, which is much reliable, efficient, and convenient. Another positive impact is basically information management. Information management, meaning firms can use ICT to acquire data. For example, they can do a research so that they can know what customers prefer in terms of their age, in terms of their preferences. So basing on what customers prefer, they can come up with products that enables those customers to meet their needs. So we are designing a product for a particular customer. We call it a customer niche. So how will you know, we as a firm, how will you know that we have customers X of this particular age group, they prefer this type of a mobile phone? We have customers, for example, customers of the age between, let's say, age of 20 years to 30, what they prefer to buy will be different from customers in the age of 8 and above. So we as a firm, if we have a firm, we have to know the customers' preferences, the customers' buying patterns. In terms of buying patterns, what we prefer to buy in the month of January is different from what a customer would prefer to buy in the month of December. So firms must be aware of that. How can they get that information? By doing a research, interacting with those customers, then they come up with data, then they do what you call convert, make it useful, meaningful, so that it becomes in a form of knowledge, so that they can rely on it, based on it, to come up with a product. So they can look at how can we improve stock, so that we minimize on wastage. We only order raw materials when you have an order from a given customer. If let's say you have a hotel, I cannot come up with a dish, a menu without an order. I have to wait for a customer to place an order. Once a customer places an order, then I can try to prepare that particular menu, basically to minimize on wastage. So we are saying that farms are empowered. They can have information what the customer needs based on or using ICT facilities. Another positive use is marketing. Marketing. So marketing means making information about the product you're offering or about the service you are providing readily available to customers, so that customers will do. We have a company named X offering this item. These are the qualities of this item. The price is this, etc. So there are different forms of marketing. Traditionally, we have the print media, whereby you can market via the newspapers. You can use posters to market. We can use the radio. We can use TVs, but those ones are somewhat expensive. Not all companies will afford to market via TV, via newspaper. So using ICT, it offers a cheaper way of marketing to different firms by using the internet. So internet is a facility of ICT, and internet refers to the physical connection of computers all over the world. So anything we put on the internet is public, meaning anybody can access. So if I'm offering, let's say I'm selling shoes, if I create a Facebook page, or let's say I just come up with a Facebook account or WhatsApp, then I post photos of those shoes I'm selling. Then I put my number there. I even put the address, the prices of those shoes. It means people will see, and people can make order, I deliver them, they pay me. So it is easier to market using the internet as compared to marketing traditionally using things like print media, which are expensive. Then number 4 is security. Security. So security brings about some challenges, but still is a way of enabling different firms to secure data and information. And we say that data is an important resource of a firm. If a firm loses data about their customers, that is a loss. They will incur loss. It's an expense. If a customer loses data about their suppliers, about their products, it is a challenge. So the firm has to come up with a way of securing that information. Nobody can easily access that information. There is a certain information, for example, in terms of the performance of the firm. If the firm is making a loss of profit, yes, let's say yearly, we want to know yearly the profit they are making per year. So certain information is not allowed for anyone to access. Let's say only stakeholders, the directors, the owners of those firms are only allowed to access that information. So there are different ways of storing information. One, manually on files. If I store data manually on files, it means I will set aside a room whereby each student I create for him a file or for her file. If I have 1,000 students, in that room I have 1,000 files. Remember, those 1,000 files are going to occupy space, and not all firms can afford to build their own space, premises. Most of the firms will hire premises. So I'm hiring a room just to keep files. I'm paying rent for that room, but just to keep files. So I will incur losses. Number 2, the time taken for it to access. If I have 1,000 files, then of my customers, then one customer walks in, he has a query. So I want to check that information. If let's say I'm a lawyer, then I'm dealing with cases of different customers. So I have a lot of cases. Then a customer comes. So I want to know the case number, the accused name. So I have to go through that file. So and I have 1,000 files. So accessing that file will take long. Accessing a particular data in the same file, in one particular file, also take long. So it means I'll be wasting time. Using a computer, if for example I have details of students, of let's say 1,000 students stored in a computer system, and I want to access detail of one particular student, I just enter the name of a student. Or else I just enter a unique identifier like admission number. Once I give the computer the admission number, it will search and give me the particular resource I want to access. So that's what we call efficiency. So storing data is much efficient. So most firms prefer now storing information, what we call using computer, because with computers you can limit access. You can limit access to those data items using two ways. One, I can use what we call passwords. You come up with a unique key, a unique code, and for you to access that information, you have to provide that code. Another way is what we call encryptions. I put data into a form that is not meaningful. Then I generate what we call a code also, a key. For you to access it, it will ask you for that key. Once you enter the key, it will put back that information in the original form. So encrypting means putting data into a form as you when you access, you won't understand anything until you put it back to the original form. Na kurudisha back to the original form, itakuitisha certain key then ilitumia. So kama hujui hiyo key, easy kupeleka that information back to the original form, ndio huwa understand what we call encryptions. Na hiyo ndio data security. Then from there we can move at the negative impact of ICT to organizations. So one is cost. The cost of acquiring these devices is expensive. The cost of maintaining these devices is expensive also. Not all companies can afford to buy computers, to maintain computers, to set up networks for internet. Number 2, in competition. This ICT increase competition. Why? How? Because most of the firms now prefer to market by the internet. We say that marketing by the internet is cheaper, and we say that internet is public. So anything we put on the internet, anybody can access. So if KIPS College tries to market, advertise for the courses they are offering on the internet, they will have a particular course known as catering and accommodation. KIPS is charging, let's say, the entire course 100,000. The course takes 2 years. And we have also units which are examinable. Then another college like ZTech can still access that information. KIPS wants to put that information on the internet basically by focusing on customers. They are targeting customers. They want customers to access that information so that they will know that we have a college known as KIPS College offering this course, charging this amount, taking this period of time. But now, not only customers will access, even competitors will also access. Companies that are offering the same service, same product can also access that information. So if ZTech can gain access to that information, they will know that KIPS College is offering this course for 2 years. Let them make it for 1 year. KIPS College is offering this course at a price of a cost of 50 or 100,000, 100,000. Let's make it 80. They lower the cost a bit. KIPS College are offering this, they are not offering a language. They are not teaching the student taking catering and accommodation, any language, any international language like Chinese, like French, like German, Spanish. So once they do that, they can try to introduce a language as an added advantage. They offer Chinese. If you register with ZTech, you want to register for that course, catering and accommodation, you're offered Chinese language for free. The course is taking 1 year. It is 80,000. But at KIPS College, inachukua 2 years, ni 100,000, na hakuna Chinese, hakuna any foreign language. You as a customer you prefer kwenda kwa ZTech than KIPS. KIPS pia kigundua hivyo pia itaanza some changes on their packaging of that course so that to attract more customers. So then it means that's how we increase competition. And if we have a firm that is not able to compete, it means that firm will collapse. So a firm that competes well, itakuwa na more customers. It will attract more customers. How? By trying to come up with unique products, unique services that will attract more customers and that will stand out on the market so that customers will always choose that product. Another negative is security. Because we say that computers lack privacy. Anything we put on the internet is public. Even if it may come up in a password, but still we have what you call hackers, we have what you call crackers, who can still gain illegal access to sensitive information. And from there, we move to what we call the positive impact of ICT to people. How ICT affects people positively, the uses, and the people we are putting it in a society. One, ICT increases access to information. So now you can easily access information because of ICT, because of the concept of internet. Number two, you can easily access new opportunities. By the internet, you can now know that we have a company named X inahitaji employees. So you can apply, they can even shortlist you, wanakufanyisha interview, then you are taken as an employee. We have what you call improved access to education. Like as that now you are attending a class virtually. You are in Kisumu, mwalimu is in Nairobi teaching you virtually. You can interact. So we have what you call e-learning and we have what you call distance learning. E-learning is more interactive whereby you can interact with the mwalimu as you acquire the course materials. But distance learning is where you are sent everything in terms of the course outline, in terms of the lecture notes, in terms of the exams, by let's say email. Then you just send back the response. So it's not interactive, but you can easily access education because of the work of the internet. Another one is increase access to news. For us now, you can have 5 MB of data. You purchase 5 MB of data on your mobile phone using, let's say, Safaricom provider, or let's say Airtel, then you access news. Anything that happens, someone can be recording a video, let's say it's an accident occurring. At that scene, you have someone taking a video, posting on the internet, then anybody can access. And we have even firms that provide the news using the internet, whereby you can access at a cheaper price as compared to buying newspapers, having a radio. Not everyone can afford newspapers. Not everyone can afford TVs, but you can afford, let's say, 5 MB to access news. Then you have what you call the negative impact of ICT to society. Negative. One is it causes unemployment because computers are replacing the jobs that were earlier being done by human beings. Hence, it causes unemployment. In a supermarket, we have people who are employed basically to guide customers. We have people who are employed basically to, let's say, pack items for customers. So if, let's say, such a supermarket has various branches, customers are so many, it cannot employ one person. It will employ several people at each and every branch. Now, what they can do is they can come up with a device like a robot. They can come up with a robot, then they program that robot to perform that activity of guiding customers, of packing items for different customers. So one robot can work 24 hours without getting tired. It means they will save on the money they're paying for each and every customer. If they have, let's say, 1,000 customers, one person can have all the 1,000 customers. We need like 10 employees. So, yes,
Kindly, I have another lesson.
we starting at what time?
Yes, please.
Starting at what time?
It was supposed to start at 3.
3 sharp.
Yes.
Okay, so we can end our lesson there. Next time on Saturday, we will start
Yes.
on the negative impact of ICT to society.
Okay.
So you can inform others to join next Saturday.
Okay.
Okay.
So.
Sawa.
Mhm.